next guest that we've got is a very special guest, Rahul Mohindar. He's one of my oh gosh, how would I talk about Rahul? Number one, Rahul Mohindar has the strategy that I risked my very first dollar on a trade on, RMO. And if you're not familiar with the built-in RMO in MetaStock, it's phenomenal. One of my favorite trading methodologies, and it comes in every version of MetaStock for free. So very, very cool methodology. Rahul is our Indian dealer. He's regularly on CNBC India, CNN, does a lot of teaching in India, runs probably one of India's largest trading schools, and a very, very good technician, a very good speaker, as somebody that I just have the utmost respect for. And he's gonna. So we made him stay up until probably about 2 a.m. his time to do a talk today, and he's going to show us some pretty cool stuff. So, Rahul, I'm going to go ahead and have you bring yourself in here. Go ahead and turn on your microphone. We'll make sure we can hear you.
All right, this is an audio check. Hope you can hear me.
I can hear you. I also sent you
Fantastic.
screen control just now, so you should see a button that says share my screen.
Bingo, that works.
Yep, I see a hole in the ground with a golf ball on it.
Yep, you know what I do other than trading now.
There you go. There you go. I see the PowerPoint now. So I've started every presenter this way. What do you want to tell us about yourself, Rahul?
Well, welcome everyone, first of all, and thank you, Jeff. You gave me a very, very modest introduction, right?
I tried. I'm going to let you get going, though. I'm going to get out of
Well, Jeff's a kind guy, but yeah, I mean, what's very close to my heart is trading, and technical analysis is something I've kind of grown up with. I've been fortunate to have seen someone doing charts, my hand and my father, and charts is something I'm so connected to, so attached to, so passionate about, and that's what really drives me. And I trade for a living. The reason I work with the program and build strategies is clearly for my own trading first, and then of course if it helps everyone, I'm glad it does, and that's what really drives me. So just to say the least, what's most important to me is that if I could add value to your trading and your analysis approach, I think that would be the number one thing on my agenda. And at the same time, all of us go through loss, us go through hard times in this market. We've all got experiences we've learned from. So I'm going to share a lot of, experiences and approaches, and hopefully we take it from there. So I genuinely think that technical analysis is a subject which is often overcomplicated, and I believe in trying to simplify that and making it more a rule-based approach, and which is precisely the direction I'm going to try and head to even today. And well, I'm very happy staying up at 2 a.m. as well across the seas, but that's what drives me. So I could wake up any time for this, and I just love looking at the charts and trading it from there, and looking at it from a very, very practical approach, Jeff.
All right. Well, we're going to let you go. We'll let you get underway.
Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone once again. And well, what's on the agenda today is really I'm going to talk about trading 2016 with the RMO. That's what I titled it. And the way I'm going to trade it is what I'm going to show you, and some of the strategies that I'm going to show you, and why we need to keep honing our skills with time, is that the markets tend to get more and more volatile. I mean, if you looked 10 years ago, it was not as volatile. 1 year again, it's a little more. The next year, it's a little more, and the whole process keeps going on. So volatility continues to increase with time, and that's going to be the story in the years forward. And I think what we really need to do is sharpen our own skill set, remove the complication, from our analysis, have a more methodical and rule-based approach. And that's precisely what I'm going to try and do. So uh, one of the newest things this year is the fact that we released the RMO ATM 2.0 add-on. And, it's something which has been out there just for a very few days. So it's been out probably a week now. And, I'm glad it's out because we spent 2 solid years in the development cycle. And the reason that kind of time was taken was it was already a very good product on its own. The RMO and the ATM were pretty solid, and based on the feedback we got from users, we could see the level of commitment, understanding, and appreciation for the indicators. So it's very hard to actually improve something which kind of had a good standard to it already built in. So I didn't want to add things just for the sake of expanding a list. I wanted to make sure that we're genuinely adding some solid value, some new strategies, stuff that really works and can help you and is better than what we have. So that's really the direction I went, and I was very, very particular to ensure that I don't want to crowd this up, but really give more integrated and more complete stuff there. So the RMO ATM 2.0 is the add-on that I'm going to be discussing over today. And I'm also going to show you a bit about the RMO and how I'm going to be trading it, in the coming few months. And I'm sure all of us can be looking at the approaches that I'm going to discuss. So whether you trade stocks, commodities, forex, futures, we definitely can use the indicators and systems that I'm going to be talking about. And whilst I'll primarily use 30-minute, 60-minute, and daily charts, feel free to use them on lower or higher time frames depending on your style of trading. So let's get straight to it. In theory, when you look at the market, we're looking at a situation where this is the classic book. You see rising tops and rising bottoms. But when you look at the market in practice, it looks more a jagged up move. So you don't have straight line uptrends all the time. So this happens probably 2 out of 10 charts, and this one happens a whole lot more. So we're in the real world seeing a lot more volatility. We're seeing a lot more of a jagged up move. We're seeing a lot more of a kind of pattern that we sometimes can't even draw a trend line on. So we've got to factor in the whole aspect that the markets are more volatile. We're not going to be able to get classic, higher tops, higher lows all the time. So you can see the higher tops and the higher bottoms, but if you try and draw the trend line sometimes, that could be tricky. You plot a moving average, that could be whipsawed. So we need to have stuff that's more integrated and more complete. So my whole belief is we need to simplify the approach, and you'll see me why we're using systems like the RMO and the ATM RMO2 add-on as well. So let's dive straight into what drove me, and this is what I was telling you, a rule-based approach. The reason why we have the ATM or automated trend modules is so that it gives you a methodical and a rule-based approach. Because what happens is when we sometimes look at a chart and we look at 5 indicators, as much as we want, we sometimes just follow the one indicator our heart wants us to follow, simply because we're biased on the trade or the trend. So keep that in mind when you're looking at more system-driven trading, which is more integrated using multiple indicators. You definitely have a rule-based approach and something which is more disciplined on its own. So the ATM uses both breakout indicators, so we have tools like the Breakout Catcher, the counter trend indicator. So it's not just an approach where you're only buying breakouts. So you could be counter trend trading, you could be looking at the markets in a sideways zone, and we have indicators like the zone detector which can actually help you detect where the market is likely to be sideways. Now, one of the very important reasons why the ATM works so well is the fact that it adjusts its level of responsiveness based on the market's volatility. So it could slow down as an indicator or speed up as an indicator dynamically. And the best part is once the ATM indicators give you a buy or sell, they don't change signals. So this is important because when you often look at the word optimization and adaptive, they're kind of dangerous words sometimes, because what happens is the past data, those signals could change. But the really good thing which the ATM does is, despite being dynamic in its nature, it does not adjust the past signals. So if it gave you a blue bar or a buy or a certain technical signal, it's always going to stay that way and not change. So it helps you get that speed, or when you need it, or that slowdown when you need it. Because if you use a fixed value on every indicator all the time on all the charts, it may not necessarily be the best approach. So that's something which is definitely going to help you go great guns. Now, the other very big feature we introduced with the RMO ATM 2.0 add-on is the fact that we have a new application called the ATM PowerScreener. The PowerScreener is really an efficiency tool which works like a scanner. So if you use MetaStock Zenith, we give you an external application on the desktop, and all you do is, once you launch that application, it automatically scans for new trading opportunities on time frames and symbols that you want. So we'll talk about this aspect. And this is really automatic scanning, and there's no better way to do it than real time. So whilst you can use those scans, of course, on daily and weekly data, the best way to look at this is to look at it even on intraday frames. Now let's look at the inbuilt RMO. So what you see on your screen right now is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and here we're looking at an interval of 30 minutes. This is a 30-minute chart I've pulled up, and this is available to you inside of MetaStock. You right-click, apply template, RMO trade model. So whether you have the add-on or don't have the add-on, the RMO is inbuilt into MetaStock. So the template that's on the screen right now is inbuilt and available in MetaStock. So just to recap the rules for that, most of you are familiar with the RMO, and I'm not going to spend too much time. If you see a blue-colored bar or a red-colored bar, that indicates weakness. So what you see is, okay, I have a red bar, a red arrow, and the RMO is negative. You are basically saying that the oscillator is below zero, and if all three are together, you're looking at a 3D sell, and you want to short the market. Likewise, if you get a buy, so you get a blue bar, you have the buy arrows in place, but if the RMO is still negative and not crossing the zero line, you don't buy, because basically the overall trend is negative. So the RMO is a great system which aligns you with the trend. So you do want to take the sell signal because the RMO is negative, or the oscillator is below zero, that is, and you have a red bar and a red arrow. So what you're looking for is that sync. Now, it kind of helps you understand that these little up moves are more corrective in nature and not necessarily big breakouts. Now, when we look at the original RMO, another very important aspect is when the market tends to get sideways, you sometimes have a situation where there are multiple signals. Now, this is where I thought there's room for improvement, and which is why when we get the RMO ATM 2 add-on, I've added a whole ton of refinement on the RMO system itself. So, this is a great launch pad to start with, because most of you folks are using the RMO system, which is inbuilt to MetaStock. And, when you apply the new template, which comes with the add-on, it's called ATM RMO. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get 4 different colors on the bar. You get an orange, which is basically a tone of bearish, red, which is extreme bearish, and likewise you have a light blue and a dark blue. So when you see light blue, it's probably exiting from a bullish phase or is not all that bullish. Likewise, when you see dark blue, that tells you that the market is, extremely positive and bullish. So the idea is to kind of combine, these bar colors. It works as a great filter, and let me show you how. Typically in this area, if you look carefully in that circle, you may have gone long. If you use the original system, you probably see the RMOs up, and now you'd see that they're orange bars, and it's not even turned blue. You would actually not be buying looking at these charts. So looking at the ATM RMO template, it works as a super filter because it filters out the RMO itself. So a lot of trades that come on, you don't really take. Now, right now, the red and blue come in pretty quick, so maybe you'd get a blue bar somewhere right there on the original system. But with the ATM RMO, we've smoothened out the bar colors to not just give you red and blue, but to give you, a red, orange, light blue, dark blue. So you understand, you feel the trend a lot better than before. So you also get a sense that it's all in sync, and you get an idea as to what's the flow of movement. So it works as a great filter, on the very same chart. So when you look at let's go back to that same 30-minute chart we were looking at. If I just looked at the same patch, so going back here, this is the original RMO system. Let's just focus on one area in this square. Let's look at the sell trade there. And you say, okay, there are red bars, there's an arrow, and you see that negative. It comes in as a sell trade. But when you go back into this chart, it's a lot easier because when you see the bar colors, it's been pretty much blue all the way. You have a little red bar or an orange bar. It doesn't really break the low, so you're not going short, and you're kind of staying steady there. It doesn't get you in and out. So in other words, we're trying to filter this out to another degree altogether. So where these new bar colors help, where the new ATM RMO colors help you, is when the RMO goes back and forth. So in patches like this, when you see it's you're bullish, bearish, you're kind of jumping between trends, and the market gets sideways. That's where you get a really good idea. And every time you see the orange and the red, you get a further sense. So for example, if you see orange here, you may not be all that convinced. You say, okay, I'm going to wait for the red bar. Okay, this is the red bar, and it's below this low that I want to go short, because that's where you feel most comfortable, that everything is in sync. So this is where you'd start understanding the trend a lot better and start feeling it. And you got to be particularly careful when the market's kind of range bound, which is where that dark blue and the red come in very, very handy. So the ATM RMO signal work as that super filter what you're looking for. And let's give you a heads up here. Let's look at the first part over here where you get a buy signal. So you have a blue bar, a buy arrow, and this is a dark blue bar, right? But when you look at the RMO, it's still negative. So in other words, the super filter says, hey, you're kind of good to go. But when you look at the original RMO, it says hang in there and wait till I get above zero. So whenever it does break the high out, you understand that it's definitely going to be a buy trade, and what you need to do is go long once it gets above that high, because the RMO itself turns positive there as well. So you kind of get that little early indication that you're looking for, the dark blue and the arrow right there before even the RMO comes in. And where it needs to slow down, now this is exactly what I was talking about. When you look at the light blue here, you can see it's telling you hang in over there, because even though the RMO is going negative in the oscillator, this is still light blue, which means you're still not out of that bull phase. So instead of going back and forth, you don't have to worry about these little trickles below zero and above zero. All right. So when you finally get the red, you get more comfortable with it, and that's when maybe you want to go. So it works as a great filtering technique to the existing RMO, gives you a lead. So here you can see that, here where I'm typing L, that's where it gives you a lead with that dark blue, which means strong bullish trend, even though the RMO is negative. So you get a bit of a lead hint there. And likewise here, it stops you. So here it kind of slows down, which is why I write S. It slows you down because it says, negative oscillator, but you see light blue bars and it says slow down. So here's where you can understand the dynamics. So that bar color, those 4 bar colors are really the new aspects that we're bringing in. And it's not just colors. I mean, we've really simplified it into colors, but there's a ton of stuff that's gone into look at how does it filter out the RMO oscillator. So it's presented very simply, but actually it's really complicated in algorithm, and its aim is really to filter out those RMO signals you get. So how do you get this? To recap, uh, the original template looks like this. So the original inbuilt RMO inside of MetaStock without the add-on looks like this. But now when you have the add-on, you will get the 4 bar colors, and you will be able to get light blue, dark blue, and get better signals, the lead signals, as well as the signals where it needs to slow you down. There too, it will help you. So this is a great template to start with, very easy, because it kind of connects you to what you already probably are looking at inside of MetaStock. Now, now the other aspects that we need to look at is there are a host of indicators. We've got the breakout catcher, zone detector. I wouldn't have enough time to run through each and every piece of it. We've got a great manual out there which details it, and it's a new manual that I wrote, so it's written from the ground up, so it would be interesting to look at that. So those of you folks who are subscribed, you do have access to that right in your My Downloads section inside the metastock.com account that you have. And all of these indicators have been detailed and explained. But what I'm going to focus on is some of the new stuff we've added. So the first one I just talked about was the ATM RMO template, which is with the 4 bar colors and gives you that new feel. And the second thing which I want to talk about is this whole suite of trend deciders. And trend deciders, daily, weekly, monthly, we're going to look at all of them. And we're also going to look at this new tool called the SWI, or the Strength Weakness Index, which is really a volume-driven tool. So it's, these are the new strategies. You have 3 of these new strategies: the ATM RMO, the SWI, and the Trend Decider. And of course, the other thing which is totally new is the fact that you have an all-new app in the ATM PowerScreener. So we're looking at a pretty solid upgrade. So even those of you folks who are already on the ATM right now, with the RMO ATM 2.0, you're kind of taking it one more level up. And we're talking about a fairly serious upgrade, not just adding strategies, but an all-new application, which is probably 24 indicators that you can add. So all of this is refined into just 7 style templates, because clearly I want you to focus with those 6 or 7 strategies, and not look at every little piece of them. So just focus on the strategies, and that's the way I'd like to go. So we have the trend decider strategy, or the SWI strategy. I wouldn't like to mix it up with too many more things. So let's look at the breakout catcher. Now this is stuff that's inbuilt into the RMO ATM, or has been there for for all these years. And when you look at the RMO ATM, the breakout catcher by far is one of the most popular ones. And when you see a vertical line, so you see a red bar or a vertical line, that tells you go short, and you use the lows. So whenever it knocks those lows out, trades a couple of ticks below it, you want to go short. Check the zone detector. This is the zone detector. If the zone detector is at 0, that's dormant. Here you see that the zone detector is at a value of +1. So if you see a histogram pointing up, or the indicator is positive, it tells you that the market's definitely going to be trending, and there's volume, volatility, all of that with you. So this, where this helps a big deal is, look at the sell signal here. You definitely would have got caught if you sold below the low. That knocks it out, and that's a bad place to have sold. But when you look up, the zone detector is at a value of 0. And what does that mean? It means that the market's dormant. There's not enough, be it volume, volatility, range breakout. None of all that's happening. And you don't want to take any kind of trading signal if the zone detector is at dormant, right? Look at the buy here. We want to take this buy because you look at that hyperactive. You want to take the sell because you look at that hyperactive. You want to take the buy again. You're seeing it knock that high out. It's hyperactive on the zone, but you don't want to take a sell signal over there because you see that no, the zone detector is at dormant or at a value of 0, and you don't want to take any trading signal buy or sell if that zone detector is in a 0 mode or dormant mode, because probably you're going to get stuck into a sideways patch or it's just a whipsaw. So the good thing is it irons out a lot of those signals. It takes care of a lot of those whipsaws. So that's what the breakout catcher is, very briefly. And what you see over there is all you're looking at is the bar color, and you're kind of leveling it up with the zone detector. So let's go with the first circle here, which I've just check marked there. You have a red bar, okay, and the lows are breaking off that red bar, and you see it hyperactive. All right, you see it hyperactive. Whether it's this red bar, ideally you want to see it hyperactive to go short. But when you see the buy, you want to buy above the blue bar, you cannot do that because it's dormant. All right, so let's look at the recent sell signal that we got there. Okay, hyperactive. The sells here, hyperactive. The buy there, I'm not going to take it. Well, sometimes what it means is you miss a small opportunity, but this is a big save. Look at the sell here. I'm not going to take the short because I am dormant. So it's a very big save. If I could save even 2 out of 4 bad trades, that's a pretty big deal because you're kind of saving yourself from going on the wrong side of the market and having to rotate back in. So that's the ATM breakout catcher very briefly. That's the existing. That's an existing study available inside the RMO ATM 2.0 add-on. And when you look at the counter trend indicator, and I'm just running through the older ones very, very briefly, more to give you a quick preview of the indicators. The counter trend indicator is straight cut best looked at the expert, which marks buy and sell signals for you. So the buy and sell signals are generating on the basis of where the market's breaking out on volume or the market's breaking out of a volatility range. All right. So if you're looking at bars that have exceptionally high volume or exceptionally high volatility, we're trying to see that every time we break out of that range convincingly, it's going to stamp a buy or a sell for you. And all we need you to do is try and take the first buy in the chain. So if it's a falling market, use the first buy. There's no need to use the second and the third buy. Don't even look at that as a confirmation necessarily. So try and look at, you got a rising market, it's counter trend. You want to use the first sell, right? You don't want to use the second sell and the third sell and the fourth sell. So, for example, this buy didn't work too well because, it was the first buy but didn't click. Likewise, you go short, that does work pretty good, gives you new low. All right, take the first buy. So the buy and sell signals are pretty straight cut. And we do have explorations and scans which pretty much find these opportunities for you. So pretty much whether you look at the breakout catcher or the RMO system or the counter trend indicator, which you're just seeing right now, they all have scans so that you don't have to go through every single chart manually. All right. So, this is the breakout catcher. So you could actually have a scan which says wherever I get a blue bar, first blue bar, and the zone is, in an active or hyperactive mode, I want those signals. I don't want the sell signal which is in dormant. So we could couple it with the zone detector in the same scan or exploration and get signals which are more relevant to you, right? So that's the counter trend, which mark the buy and sell signals. And again, when you look at these charts, focus on the first buy, all right? And if the market's going up, focus on the first sell. I want you to focus. You have a falling market, first buy, all right? And you have a rise again, first sell, right? Okay, and that may not happen or may happen. That doesn't work. Then you have the first buy coming there, right? So remember that we're really focusing on the first signal, and that's what makes it more accurate, that you're giving weight to the first signal and not just every little buy or sell that comes. So use the first signal in chain and try and use it, as the name suggests, as ATM counter trend and not just as a breakout tool. So counter trend indicator is what works off volume and volatility. Then the next indicator that's there inside the RMO ATM is the RMO2. And the RMO2 are basically a blue and a red indicator. They're plotted in the same window. We call it the RMO2 plus and the RMO2 minus. And one measures the bull strength side of the market and the other measures the bear strength in the market. And what you will notice is this is a very good tool for those folks who trade the options segment, because what you could do is every time the market moves, to that zero level, this is a good point to buy a put option. So if the red, sucks back in to zero, so pulls back into zero, buy the puts. And why is this a good point? Because the market's going up at that point. And if the market's going up, the puts are going to be cheap, right? Because when the market goes up, calls tend to be expensive and puts are going to be more attractive. So every time the market goes up and you see that the RMO2 has gone from a -1 to a 0, go buy the puts. What's your stop? Anyway, the maximum risk on these trades is the premium that you pay for the options. And otherwise, whenever it turns buy, so let's say this blue goes to a value of +1, all you do is, okay, I'm going to use that bar's high as my stop. So even if you don't trade the segment, it gives you very, very interesting directional cues and points of reversal. So whilst you can detect this through even the breakout catcher and counter trend, the RMO2 definitely gives you that opportunity when you're looking at the option side of the market, or when you have a nice little corrective up move and the major trend is down. So this is a tool I strongly recommend, especially, to use these areas, the zero areas, as points of pullback points where you want to take, fresh option trades there. So again, this too can be scanned. You can look for where you have pullbacks in place. Now let's come to the new indicators. We talked about one of the new ones, which was the ATM RMO template with those 4-bar colors. Now let's talk about the ATM Trend Decider Suite. Now the Trend Decider Suite is basically 3 different indicators plotted on one chart. We're looking at a daily, monthly, and weekly level. Now what does the Trend Decider do? If I could simplify this for you, and I say that the Trend Decider of a stock is $100, it means that if today it gets above 100, it's bullish. If it gets below 100, it's bearish. That's what the Trend Decider level literally means. But when you look at 3 different Trend Decider levels, you get an idea, is it bullish for the day, the week, and the month? And when these synchronize, believe it or not, it makes for a very good trade. And what kind of time frames can you use with a Trend Decider? You can actually use pretty small time frames as well. So if you want to go down to a 15-minute, 30-minute, 60-minute, that's fine. You can even use it, of course, on your regular end-of-day daily charts as well, or for that matter, weekly as well. So whilst it talks about Trend Decider daily, monthly, or weekly, don't confuse this to be a daily chart or a monthly chart or weekly chart. Basically, the Trend Decider daily is calculated off the daily chart. The weekly level is calculated off the weekly chart, but you're plotting it on a time frame that you're trading. Let's show this on a chart. So what you see right now on your left-hand side is a 5-minute chart of Microsoft. And what you see over here is probably a 30-minute chart of the same stock. So when you look at the green, this is the trend decider daily, right? So I'm just going to mark our D there. So that's a 5-minute chart, and it's a daily level, trend decider daily. You can see that every time, the market's gone above that green line, it's shown you strength. So the green line is basically telling you is it bullish for the day or not. So every time the markets, and these are 5-minute bars over there, or candles for that matter. So every time it breaks through that green level, you understand that's a big support or resistance being broken. So that gives you an indication for the day. And when you look at for the week, what you see on the right-hand side is the red one, and this is a weekly level. It's a trend decider weekly plotted on a 30-minute chart. Now remember, the trend decider weekly level is going to stay the same no matter which chart you plot it on. So let's say you plot the indicator on a 60-minute chart or a 30-minute chart, the value of that indicator is going to stay the same, right? But what you do get a sense is the stock actually bullish for the week or bearish for the week? So the nice thing is when you combine it and you plot, say, the daily level, the weekly level, all in one chart, and this is how it's going to look. And we've even added a monthly level there. This is where it starts making all the sense. So now we're looking at, again, a hourly kind of time frame or a 30-minute kind of time frame, and you're seeing that, let's look at this area. Let's focus on, an area like this, where you can see that the price is trading below the daily and the weekly, and you're obviously expecting the market to go down from there, right? So if the price is below daily, weekly, and monthly, what do you think is going to happen? Okay, look at the little circles that I'm drawing. These are places where the price is just gone below daily, weekly, and monthly. So if you see that kind of a setup happening, the trend's changing. Let's look at this. Here the price is above the daily and the weekly, but the monthly is still there. So this is not all that clean. So let's just do away with that. So what we want to do is price is below daily and weekly. Price is below daily, weekly, monthly. These are pretty clean signals. Price is below daily, weekly, monthly. Okay, all those areas look very, very clean. Now, what you also need to understand is wherever the green gets above the red, like here, okay, price is above daily, weekly, monthly, and the green's just kind of crossed above that red, that indicates a change of trend. So focus on that green and red. The green is the daily, the red is the weekly. So the minute the green has gone below the red or intersected, okay, that's a change in trend. Notice on this chart, it changed trend right there, and so you had a couple of days where the market's negative, negative, negative. So even if the price went here, and I really want you to look at where I'm marking this X over here. Why would I not buy there? Because even though it's gone above the daily and the weekly, number one, it's not above the monthly, which is one factor. But the most important thing is the green daily line has not crossed the red weekly. Okay, so I'm going to repeat myself here. If the green line or the daily level is still lower than the weekly, the trend hasn't changed, right? So like you see towards the end of the chart, would I buy right here? Yes, because it's gone above the daily, it's gone above the weekly, and now the green is above the red. So the daily level is above. So every time you cross over, that daily crosses over the weekly, that's a huge indication of a trend change. So the monthly for me plays a smaller role. It's more, sometimes you can even use it as a target where you say, all right, if I'm going to buy there, maybe it'll go to that monthly level. And remember, the value changes every day for the trend decider daily, every week or every Monday, that is, for the trend decider weekly, and the first of every month, or the first trading day for every month if you're looking at the monthly level. So, which is pretty nice because you kind of have a nice setup for the day, for the week, for the month. So I built this more actually from a trailing stop perspective, but when I saw users actually using it for, getting a new trend entry, I actually went back and tested it in time, and it worked pretty well because one of the nice things is it's adjusting every day, every week, and every month, which makes it so much more progressive. And when you combine it, see, the fun is if you just have a daily level, all right, you know it's bullish for the day or bearish for the day. You know that it's broken out of a key support or resistance. But when you combine that, when you're looking at the daily, the weekly, and the monthly all pasted on one chart, that speaks a lot to you. But again, I stress, please focus on the daily and weekly to start with. And that's a good way to start. So often I get the question, what's the right time frame to start with? Well, if it's a 30-minute, 60-minute, that's a good way to start with the daily and the weekly. The monthly is a great reference point as well. If you get the monthly coming in and saying, yes, I'm also with you. And yeah, I mean, you're not just a sell based on daily or weekly, it's also on the monthly, that's definitely a whole lot more, in terms of conviction. But would I stop trading if the monthly didn't give my way? Because sometimes the monthly level is far out. Like you see right now on the chart, the monthly is much, much higher. So not necessarily. So I'm not giving the monthly excessive weight. I'm giving, excessive weight on that, well, the weekly level more than anything else. So from a trading perspective, definitely the daily and the weekly are your focus points. And the really nice thing is we've built scans which can detect where the trend changes. So you're really looking for that sweet spot where the trend changes. And what we've done is we've kind of built scans which can find exactly that, exactly that. So the three things what you're looking for to recap is the price, greater than the daily, greater than the weekly, and is the daily level, the green level, higher than the red level, right? So all the three, when all three sync in, you can actually have a nice little alert. And you don't even have to do that manually. It would auto scan for you in real time and give you pops every time it thinks the trend changes. So even wild whipsaws like this, you don't get stuck in them because you realize, hey, even though I'm above daily, weekly, if the daily level doesn't go above the weekly, the trend's not changing. So this is what's so cool. It helps you filter out to an all new degree. Now we've obviously got commentary for the trend decider, and what we did was we coupled it with a lot of the other studies which you probably are going to be using, which is the SWI, which I'm going to come to in a bit, and things like the zone detector, the RMO. So all of that is kind of coupled in. So they have all commentary. In fact, with the RMO ATM 2.0 update, we added commentary for all the indicators. So earlier we didn't have commentary for stuff like the Breakout Catcher and all. So we've added the commentary for every single template or strategy which is there. So commentary has been added. 3 new strategies have been added. The all-new app has been added in the PowerScreener as well. So let's talk about the SWI. So that was a quick glimpse on the trend decider indicator. Let's now look at the strength weakness index. Now, sorry, the essential ingredient that we're looking at in the SWI is volume. And this is so important because we all talk about if a market goes up and it goes up with volume, that's strong. If a market goes down and it goes down with rising volume, that further confirms the downtrend. But I always thought, why can't we put that whole piece of knowledge into a real-time chart? Because we get tick-by-tick data, we understand if the tick's going up with the volume, tick's going down with the volume, and that's exactly what we did. So what the SWI does, and don't get me wrong here, you can definitely use it on daily charts as well, or end of day, but we're looking at every little tick of volume that comes in, and does the price go up with that volume or the price go down with that volume. So this is what it does for you. So when you apply the template, you have a red line which virtually dissects the chart. And again, the indicator does not know the price of the security, right? Now, if you're wondering, then how does it plot over there? Well, all we do is if it's negative, if the flow of volume is negative, we just plot it a particular distance above the price, right? So which is why you see that the SWI level is kind of equidistant from the price, right? So the probably the thing you've got to remember here is that the key component, or rather the main component in this, is volume and the way volume's ticking with the market. So if it's a positive uptrend, we're looking at, is the volume ticking with you. So blue bars indicate that there's a buy in place, red bars indicate there's a sell in place, and what you're looking for is a change in trend, right? And you have an exploration which can even find that for you. And it's pretty solid because it doesn't even know that the market's going down here. All it knows is, well, the volume still says that, the buy strength is in place. So it can handle, a lot of strong swings as well. And it gives you a different take because we've got so many indicators now based on price. So you have, really cool trend decider now you've seen. You have the breakout catcher, your RMO stuff. So all of those tools are great and they're price driven, but here's something which is, all out volume driven. So it gives you that, feel of volume. So you've analyzed price, and then I thought this was an amazing way to blend in volume and understand, is the trend set in based on volume, because volume's a very strong barometer for a trend. In my opinion, a trend doesn't start if the volume flow doesn't kick in, because without the money, without the volume, the trends are not going to move. So the SWI is pretty simple. Here's a chart of Tesla Motors, and you can see this. This is a daily chart. Again, this was not an easy patch. It went up and down, back and forth. So November to December, you had this little uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, downtrend, uptrend. You had a lot of swinging, and you can see how beautifully that SWI says, hey, stay positive, 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 and finally comes and says, short there. And that's all volume at work. So you can see how it's kind of kept you contained in the trend. Well, of course, you'd have the one or two odd ones which don't work. There's no holy grail out there, but in the main, I'm sure you understand what it's doing for you. Is fairly solid. You get to understand from a perspective of volume, and I would say you should combine the SWI with a price-driven tool. So personally, I love combining the SWI with the trend decider. So especially the daily and the weekly concept that I just showed you. And if I have that along with the SWI as well. So the SWI gives me the volume kicker, and the trend decider daily, weekly give me the price kicker. And I can tell you, get addicted to that combination. You will just love it. It's fascinating the way it works. So in fact, if you go back and even pack test it, it's amazing how it's worked in the past, even on intraday frames. I kind of like looking at that 30 minute, 60-minute kind of window, particularly because that gives you nice 3 to 5 day kind of swings, which are quite meaty usually. So that's a good area to be looking at if you want a heads up on where to start with. So the SWI2 does have a complete expert advisor where it's marking those bar colors for you. It would give you that commentary that you want. So everything that we're doing, be it the trend decider, the SWI, all of that comes fitted in with commentary and experts, exploration so that you can scan on it. So that's definitely something which is going to help you detect these trades well in time. Now I'm going to talk about the application called the PowerScreener. So the PowerScreener is actually an app which is going to be installed right on your desktop. So let's just show you the app straight out. So it's an app which looks like this. You just launch it straight from your desktop, and you're going to be able to scan in real time. Now, of course, if you are going to scan in real time, it means you do need to have a real-time data account. But again, if you don't have one, you still have the exploration. So if you're an end of day, well, you still get all the new strategies, all the new experts, all the new indicators, and you also get all the new exploration so that you can do the scanning. But for those of you folks on Zenith and real-time data, take a look at this. So I could quickly open up, let's say, a chart. This is a list of the Dow 30 stocks, and it would pull up the prices for me, and I could just keep adding, so columns of relevance to me. So I'm looking for, say, ATM counter trend trades, all right? and I could have sound alerts, email alerts. So it would actually give you a human voice which virtually voices out, you know, counter trend buy on Microsoft. So it would just go ahead and give you those buy and sell signals in real time. So um, you know, it's going to give you those indications as it happens, and you can have them on time frames of your choice. And one of the things that we did was to even build in time frames, which even the regular exploration sometimes can't handle. So things like 15 minutes, 75 minute, these are time frames which probably you wouldn't be able to custom scan sometimes, but you can do it on the PowerScreener. So that's a pretty cool feature, and you can add different columns of your relevance. So if you like the trend decider or you want the SWI with it, you can just keep adding, and you can see, okay, I have a new buy somewhere or a new sell, and you can even auto sort it. So let's say I want to look at adding another indicator, say the Breakout Catcher or the RMO signal. So let's say I want the RMO, and I want only where there are 3D buys or sells, right? So it tells you where there's a new 3D buy or a 3D sell, and I could go examine that chart out there. And of course, you can all set it to different time frames. So say you like looking at the RMO on a 5-minute chart, right? And you like to look at the SWI on a 30-minute chart, so you can have different indicators working to different columns, and all of this is going to find these opportunities, boom, 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 while the market's on. So you don't have to even run an exploration. You just set up your screen, and this is like, it tells you the price. You can, of course, add columns like high, low, current price, change percent. So it works like a great quote board. And, one of the things we tried to do was to make this nice and friendly. You can add a comment field. And let's say I want to add a comment that Microsoft will watch the 60-minute weekly level. Okay, so you can add a nice comment there. Of course, you can expand and contract it, double click if you want, to optimize screen real estate. You can even add a position. So let's say if I wanted to add a position, so we click on M2MPL, which is mark to market profit loss, and I could, key in an actual position. So let's just say it's not meant to be a portfolio manager, but I want to always know how much money I'm making or losing. So let's say I bought 1,000 shares at $51. Okay, so it tells you I'm making $4,090 with an 8% gain. And let's say I bought another lot at 55. So just add a comma or a semicolon, and then you could say I got a plus 1,000 at 55, right? And that's what's going to, oops, typo there. So it averages out for you, and says, okay, now you're making 4180 because you bought some at 55, some at 51. So this is pretty cool. You get to see in real time how much money you're making or losing. You have your comments, and most importantly, you can move the columns where you want, right? So you can move the column of your preference, to a point where you want it. And we've given you some starter screens. So we've built these pages for you. So this is NASDAQ 100, and we've got all of that stuff, which is calculating. So you can see candlesticks. So, bullish rally, morning stars, RSIs, counter trend. So there's 29 different things that you can add from there. Not just popular stuff, but all the ATM stuff. SWI, counter trend, breakout catcher. All right. So all of that, and it's very, very responsive, very friendly. You got your calculator, sticky notes. Okay, that works. Direct access into MetaStock, just double click on the M icon there, and that will just quickly open MetaStock for you. And you can have different pages, etc., all of that set up. And it auto saves. So if I move back to the Dow page which I was working with, it auto saved what I did last. And you can control all of this right here. So if you don't want it to auto save, click on that red icon there, and that gives you all the properties. So you want it auto saving. How fast do you want it to speak? You want a male voice, female voice, things like that. you want to filter on time, because sometimes you don't want to use pre-open or post-close. If you want to use everything, you use 24-hour sessions, right? So, it's very, very handy. And of course, we have a nice manual. So if you click on that help icon there, that will quickly open up the manual for you. And you'll be able to see, a PDF file if you want direct access from there. That's a support link there. So that kind of gives you a first-hand view, of the PowerScreener. Now, I don't have enough time to go through every little piece of that PowerScreener, but that's more to give you a heads up as to what the PowerScreener can potentially do for you. So it's very user-friendly. You can make little groups of stocks. So let's say I want to insert 5 rows over here, and I want to, let's say, put in say auto stocks right there. So what I can do is make a little group for myself and say, okay, I'm going to enter auto stocks there, and then key in auto stock symbols there. So you can make your own little groups as well. So it's pretty cool to use this, and I'm sure what's most relevant to you, it's going to detect those trades for you. Now, what happens, how does it compare to, let's say, the Explorer? The Explorer is great end of day, but in real time, if I use a 5-minute chart, I don't expect you to run an Explorer every 5 minutes, right? And here I can even scan on time frames which I normally cannot, say a 15-minute or a 25-minute or a 75-minute, stuff like that. So we've pre-built those time frames for you. We've added all the popular ones there, and you can manage things pretty well. So even things like managing your screen real estate, you might have many indicators. You don't want the words to be written as M2M PL. You want to call this as just PL because it takes lesser space. So you can change that. So we've really gone the distance to think practically, which is why it took us over 2 years to envisage everything and put this together. So it was something which we've been using, testing for 2 years now, and it's been something which I'm sure would benefit you tremendously, because there's no room for an opportunity miss. So I could even have a Gmail account where I want alerts. So if I have a new signal on any of those indicators, you can go into those columns. We've got a feature there. Let's say you want email alerts on, okay? Now we've even got things like display filtered signals for the counter trend. So just the first buy and the first sell, not every buy arrow or every sell arrow. So we've really gone the distance to think here, and hopefully this is going to add tremendous value trading. So this works like a separate app. So if you use multi-monitors, you can always put this in a separate monitor of your choice. If you don't and you want to use it in the same one, you can split it up as well, and use it side by side with MetaStock. So let's get back into the presentation here. Okay, so that's the PowerScreener, and you've got voice alerts, which gives you live human voice. And why I really like this feature was, when I used to trade, one of my biggest problems was I'm not the kind of guy who can sit on my desk all day. I may get up, I may be taking a break somewhere, I may still be in my room, but I hear it. I say, hey, I've got to buy on this stock, so I want to go look at it. And I didn't necessarily have to see it. Otherwise, when you have real-time scanners, you have to be glued to it, keep looking at it whenever it changes. So voice alerts is such a natural way. So you can rely on all the sense organs, really. You can look at whether you're looking at voice alerts, you're looking at email alerts, or you just simply want to just look at it. And we've even got a feature of auto sort. So if there's a new buy or sell, it goes smack up right on the list. So it shifts that symbol right on top. So auto sorting is another great feature that we've incorporated. So that gives you a kind of heads up on the PowerScreener. Right now there are 29 different indicator fields that you can add to it. Now I'd love to do more of a live demo kind of thing on the PowerScreener, and hopefully in one of the upcoming webinars. I think we have one probably scheduled February 18th. That's my next webinar. Probably will be in a live market situation as well there. So that could be fun to look at it there. So when you buy the RMO ATM 2, you're not just getting the 3 or 4 new studies that I just showed you and the new PowerScreener app. In total, you're looking at 11 explorations, 10 different indicators, 29 PowerScreener fields, And all of this rotating around 6 very solid, well-defined strategies. So we're not trying to tell you that you have to use every little piece of it. It's already knit up. And it, all of that's knit up into proper style templates and proper scans and already refined, signals. So what's good is, whilst there are a lot of things there, it's very, very to the point, very, very rule-based. And the way I look at it is, for those of you on the end of day, you really can, you have the time and luxury to scan, at the end of the day. But for those of you on the real time, you want something which is quick and snappy and gets it for you while it happens. And, that's the PowerScreener really does that job so well. So just to round up, on the new stuff, we've got the new ATM RMO template. You got the new strength weakness index template. You have the new ATM trend decider template, which is a suite of 3 different things. That's a trend decider daily, weekly, and a monthly. All of these have expert commentary. All of them have explorations. And of course, you have the new PowerScreener app for all of these indicators in the ATM. And we've also added several more popular ones. So let's say the MACD or candlesticks or Bollinger Bands. We've added a lot of the popular indicators users like to look at inside the PowerScreener app. So that could definitely be helpful to you no matter what. Now, I think it's all of this can be well explained in the manual. We've done a pretty good manual there. I'm kind of praising myself here, but actually when you read that manual, it is informative, and hopefully I've been able to add some value in today's session. So follow up with that manual for some more education, and of course those of you folks who sign up for the annual, we do give you a free one-to-one session where we have a specialist set up on symbols and timeframes of your choice. So that's something we do throw in. And the way I'd like to put it is, I wouldn't really release an upgrade personally just for the sake of it. I mean, the ATM has been around for probably 3 or 4 years, and we didn't upgrade it because I definitely wanted to. Whenever I upgraded it, I wanted to make sure I'm adding some solid stuff. So with this all new app with 29 indicators, with these 3 new strategies which are so amazingly powerful, I couldn't control but give it to you. So with the ATM 2.0, I'm sure it's going to take you a notch even higher. So I really appreciate the feedback on the initial ATM, but we've already got trickles of users who already moved on and upgraded to the new version. And I mean, I've heard some really cool, testimonial and feedback. So appreciate it all, and we'll continue to strive to improve and help you further. And I think we're kind of running out of time here, but at the end of it, I really want to thank MetaStock, who've been very supportive in the whole development process. They're a great team. So kudos to all of you. Without you, it wouldn't be possible. And hopefully that kind of wraps it up for me. And in case you're interested in signing up, Jeff can go ahead and give you more details on how you could sign up, and we've worked out a deal as well. So go ahead, Jeff, if you're around.
Hello?
Yes, Jeff, we can
Okay.
go ahead.
It helps if I unmute my mic, Rahul. Okay. Well, I was just answering a bunch of questions. Looked like we had quite a few that are coming in. And thank you, Rahul. Really appreciate that. People are very excited about the PowerScreener. It's a cool application. So in any case, let me go ahead and just kind of tell you a little bit about how to get this. Thank you, Rahul. Really appreciate that. As you could tell,
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. For those of you that have RMO already, this is obviously RMO ATM 2.0. It's actually free for you, and not only that, it's also a grandfathered price. The price of ATM 2 is going up just a little bit, but if you have ATM and you've been paying for ATM for a little bit of time, you can actually get ATM 2.0 by logging into your My Downloads section of the MetaStock website, which you'll find that at metastock.com/my downloads. Okay. Let's go ahead and Rahul did a great job of kind of going through everything that was included and showing the power screener and kind of showing the potential of everything. And the pricing on RMO ATM is normally going to be $129 a month. And what we're actually going to do is kind of like an introductory offer to get people using it is if you buy it as part of the summit this weekend, we're going to give you $99 for life. So it's like a 30% discount for the life of as long as you want to run it, which is pretty good. It's about $950 annually, and if you do that, Rahul's going to help you set it up. Well, not personally, but the Veratex team is going to help you set that up. So I'd encourage you to give it a try. It's a month-by-month subscription. Give us a call. The number for that is 800-882-3040, or you can get a hold of us at metastock.com. I'm going to go through and answer some of the questions that have come in since I started talking. And then we have one more session, which is really a Q&A session. So in any case, let's just go ahead and take a look at the thing. Origin, please contact us. It doesn't sound like yours is running properly, so we'll help you set it up. Thanks, Rahul. Thank you, Rahul. How do you get the chat?
It was a great session.
Hey, Rahul, do you want to chime in what your thoughts on China are going to be? That was one of the questions that came in. No forecast for China?
Oh, no. Well, when you're looking at technical analysis, you focus on the price. And, that's price is factored in China. So, yeah, believe in the subject.
All right. So, very cool.
Being methodical, you would get China.
This is, usually, Rahul does some great work, and we've had people that have subscribed to ATM since it came out, like 5 years ago or something, and I get so many good comments with it. ATM 2.0 is such a huge upgrade. Not only does he went in and basically refined all of the systems that are in ATM, but he's also added commentary to them, and he's added the whole PowerScreener application, which allows you to track everything real time. It's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. So try it out. 1-800-882-3040. Okay, very cool.